So now we're going to talk about ethics in research. So I actually have few slides here which we will be discussing. So when we talk about ethics, it has something to do with the things that you have to do, you have to consider as you perform your research. Research is a very complex process, a complex thing to do. And it's part of your journey as a student of psychology. You cannot go away with research since you have your thesis. You also have your subjects with you, wherein your teachers, your professors ask you to come up with a research as an output. And in conducting research, we have to consider some things. We have to make sure that our research is something that is morally upright, kumbaga sa ating vision mission, and something that is ethical in nature. When we talk about ethics in research, these are the things that you have to consider. Okay. So you have to take note of these four things: risk and harm, consent, recruitment, and identifiability. When we talk about risk and harm, the first thing that you have to consider in research is that are there risks involved that my participants may experience in my research? Risk and harm. Of course, you have to make sure at some point that your research will not harm your participants. It will not be a danger. It will not give danger to your subjects or your participants. So you have to consider how will I manage to protect my participants in a way that they will not be at risk. It will not be harmful to them. Let's say, for example, if you decide to have experiments, of course, there are harms because you will expose, let's say, the person to a treatment, your participant to a treatment condition. And the exposure to treatment may cause harm to the participant. So if you are going to have a full-blown research, you have to consider how will I protect my participant? How will I make sure that it's more of the benefits rather than the risk and harm? It's also one thing to consider because, as a human, a person would not want him or herself to get harmed. And let's say, for example, you tell your participants that you will be part of the research and unfortunately you will be exposed to this and that. Your participants might not participate on your research. So it's very ethical that we are considering the harm or the risks that we may provide or we may give to our participants as we conduct our research. There is actually a balance and actually hindi balance. Dapat mas mataas yung benefit, risk and benefit. If we will talk about the risk and benefits should be higher compared with the risks and harms that your participants may encounter as he or she participated on your research. Second is the consent. Of course, your participants should agree that they will participate on your research. Actually, on the consent, which later we will be discussing, the informed consent is a very good thing when you start a research. And in any conduct of research, of a study, you should have an informed consent. Assent form if your participants are minor. Anyway, informed consent, it's already included there the nature, the purpose, the risks, the benefits, the voluntariness, the confidentiality that's at stake when, let's say, your participants joined you as you go over with your data collection. So it's very important ethically that you get the consent of your participants. If they do not allow themselves to be part of your research, do not push them or pressure them to be part of your research, probably because they have reasons why they don't want to participate. They don't want to be part of your research. Consent is very important. And there are various ways on how you can get the consent. First thing is that you may establish rapport, you may really make sure that the participants are comfortable with you. Of course, the discussion of the benefits that they can get from the research participation. Some also give um, rewards. Of course, reward is a thing, it motivates a person to participate. So you may include those things or you may do those things in order for you to get the consent. But again, as an emphasis, you should not pressure your participants to join. If they don't want to join, edi okay lang. Huwag silang pilitin. Okay? Consent is very important. Whatever happens to the research, the participant at least signed something that, okay, I agree to whatever procedures that will be performed and I'm willing to participate. By the way, on the consent naman, there's also a provision there that they may exit the research process once that they realize that it's not for them or they found out that it's harmful or there are risks involved on the research. Next is recruitment. Recruitment of the participants is also a thing to consider in ethics. It's actually somehow relative to consent in a way that you shouldn't pressure your participants to be part of your research. And at the same time, ethically, when you recruit your participants, you have to make sure that these participants are really someone or people who are inclined or who experience, let's say, the variable or the problems that you would like to address. When I was teaching experimental psychology way back before, my students just picked their participants. Let's say, for example, their study is on the effects of colors to color paper to memory, and then they just picked the year, the course. So technically, they picked students because it's for their convenience. However, the question there is, yung bang pinili mo, are they really the right persons, the right participants to choose for your research? So you have to consider that in your research. Sino ba yung participants ko? Paano ko sila pinili? The reason why you have your sampling procedure, you have your criteria, you have the descriptions of your participants because it's also part of the ethics. Bakit mo naman isasali ang tao o ang participant na walang kinalaman sa iyong pag-aaral? So ethically, you have also to consider recruitment. Ang uso ngayon is nagpo-post sa social media looking for participants, right? Merong ako nakikita ng mga talagang ang gaganda ng mga banners, ang gaganda ng promotional things in social media just to get participants. But then the danger there is, how sure are you that you are engaging with the right person, with the right participant? It's part of the recruitment and you have to make sure that you are doing it right. And then identifiability. Identifiability during the data collection, the profile can be acquired, the personal data of your participants. And you have to make sure that they are not exposed to others. Actually, you ask favor from them. So technically, you should protect them from being identified. Let's say, for example, your study is about stress, and you get their profile, and then you present it, you have to make sure that there are codes, there are parang nicknames to them para hindi sila ma-identify na sila pala yung taong stress. Sila pala yung mga stress na kasama doon sa iyong study. It is part of the ethics because there is a need to protect the participants and to have it confidential. Everything that you will get from your participants should be kept confidential and in private. Sabi nga yung privacy and confidentiality. In a way that when you present your work, no names will be mentioned na si ganito to. Let's say, for example, qualitative yung study mo, no? Mga matatanda. Si ganito, si lolo, igme, ganito, etc. They should not be identified because after all, you should take into consideration generalization. Hindi naman ibig sabihin na sagot niya, it takes the answer of everybody. So you should protect their identity and practice privacy and confidentiality. Speaking of confidentiality, there are two terms that I would like you to know the difference: anonymity and confidentiality. When we talk about anonymity and confidentiality, of course, both of these deal with privacy. These are things that we have to consider when we do our research. The difference is that when we talk about anonymity, yes, yes, you're answering? Okay. Baka nabuksan lang, ano. When we talk about anonymity, it has something to do with a thing that the researcher is blind. Parang, okay, nagkakantak ako ng study, pero hindi ko totally kilala yung mga participants ko. Sabi nga, anonymous. Kaya minsan, pag kumukuha tayo ng mga profile natin, optional lang name. It's not really necessary to get their names to protect them from being identified on your research. Pag sinabi naman mong confidentiality, kilala mo yung iyong participants. Kaya lang, during the presentation of data, during the discussion of your data, you keep their names, you keep their personal data or information. So they are different in a way that you don't know and you know something about the participants. So it should be clear. Pag sinabi mong I will take anonymity, I will consider the anonymity of the participants. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo siya kilala. So talagang random yung pagpili mo dun sa iyong participants for as long as they met the criteria that you set for your research. Pag sinabi namang confidentiality, of course, kukunin mo yung data nila, no, yung contact numbers nila, kilala mo sila. Yet, you decide still to protect them from being identified or being exposed to the society or to any other persons. Anonymity is very crucial when we talk about qualitative research. Kasi kapag qualitative, talagang you have to dwell on the experiences, the parang personal experience of the person. So parang medyo merong ilag doon sa anonymity kapag qualitative ang ating research. So it would be better to use the term confidential in qualitative and anonymity and confidentiality in quantitative researches. So these are very important when we engage ourselves with ethics in research. Now, let me go with the form. But before I proceed with the forms, are you still with me? Would you please give me a reaction naman if you are still here in the meeting room, still listening to Mama Sana? Okay. Isa lang ang nakita kong nag-react. Okay. Ayan. So marami naman. Thank you. Now, excited na ba kayo sa forms na kailangan ninyong gawin? Medyo madami. But according to the Ethics Review Board, you have to start with this form. This is the short description of the research proposal. O bakit si Harvey ay malungkot? Mamaya tatanungin natin siya, bakit siya naging malungkot nung nakita niya yung forms. Okay. So if you try to look at this, it possesses the different parts of your paper, from the title up to the tools that you're going to use for your paper. So dito kasi sa form na to, makikita natin or makikita noong evaluator, ng ethics review board, kung exempted yung iyong paper for review. Pag sinabi kasing exempted, meron silang tinitignan. I believe, let's say ang iyong study is more of educational, exempted yon. If pag sinabi namang expedited, yun naman yung hindi gaanong i-evaluate, pero i-evaluate pa rin. Pag sinabing full review, there is really a need to fully review the paper because of sensitive cases and sensitive topics or matters included on your research. Way back before, kapag exempted for review yung proposal, edi hindi ka na magpapasa ng other forms at ng copy ng proposal mo sa main campus, sa ethics review board. Pero kapag expedited, kailangan ay makapagpasa ka ng 3 hard copy. Siguro ngayong panahon na to, since we are on the online platform and we minimize the face-to-face interaction, online lang din siguro yung pagpapasa. So, maswerte, ano? Dati kasi 3 pag expedited. Pag full, 7. Imagine that. So, kung titingnan mo yung difference nilang dalawa, mas marami yung nagbabasa dun sa full review. So, kapag talagang mga sensitive yung mga case, halimbawa, ay sexually abused children. So, expect mo na yun ay full review kasi magmimingle ka sa participants na sensitive ang case. Let's say, for example naman ay teachers, ordinary teachers na mga na-stress, I think expedited lang yun kasi wala namang psychological disorders involved. But, this is just me, no? The ethics review board will decide on it. So, ang ating qualifications pag sinabing expedited, the research needs to be reviewed, but it's not that sensitive enough. Pag full yung review, the research really needs to be evaluated and the participants and those involved on your research ay very sensitive. So if you look at this form, isa-isa kayo na maggagawa nito, then ipapasa natin sa main campus. Kasi titingnan nila kung yung paper ninyo ay exempted, for expedited, or for full review. So if you look at it, lahat ng parts ng paper ay ilalagay ninyo dito sa table. So, halimbawa, your title, lagay mo dyan. Background, so I think the background will have, or you will have the introduction, then the objectives, then you will include here the research paradigm, your methodology, such as the research design, population and sampling, participants, ethical consideration. That's the reason why I ask most of you, especially my advisees, technical critics, and those na ako'y evaluator during the defense, na lagyan ng ethical consideration kasi titingnan to. And then the instruments, data gathering procedure, data or statistical analysis, and you have to attach your questionnaire, your survey form, or whatever tools that you will be using for your research. And then, at the bottom part, you have to affix your signatures. Then your signature, and then also the advisor and the technical. The role of the advisor and the technical critic to determine whether tama ba yung pinaglalagay nyo dyan. Dyan sa table na yan. Okay, so parang yung proposal mo, ililipat mo dito sa form na to, excluding review of related literature. And then ayan, isi-screen siya ng chair ng ERB. And then, aside from this, you have this form 3, the informed consent approval sheet. So it would be better if you prepare already by group your informed consent. And I am expecting that you know how to create an informed consent. Sa informed consent, dapat nakikita itong mga parts na to. So of course, you will include here the title of your study, description of the research and your participation. Ano ba yung study mo? Paano ba naging participant yung mga participants mo? Bakit sila ang napili? Of course, you have to include that on your participants. Risks and discomforts na pwedeng maranasan ng participant mo. Potential benefits. Utilization of the results of the study. Anong mangyayari kapag nakuha mo na yung data? So, it will be presented, published, ano ba? Then, protection of confidentiality, that you have to assure the participants that confidential yung magiging data gathering. Voluntary participation, participants are allowed to exit from the data gathering procedures if they decide to do so. And then your contact information. Ilalagyan mo yan, you have your informed consent, ilalagay mo dito yung parts ng informed consent mo na ito yung sinasabi doon sa iyong informed consent. And then of course, at the latter part, you have to include your signature. So by group kayo, ilang signature ang malalagay dito. So if you look at this, meron ditong part wherein your participants will sign the consent. So it's an approval sheet, but it seems like it's the same with your informed consent. Ilalagay mo lang dito so that your your consent will be evaluated by the ethics review board. And then, so ito yung kailangan, urgent na ipapasa. Yung form na to, the short description of the research proposal, supply the needed information na makukuha nyo naman sa proposal ninyo. Signature, you already consult your advisors and technical critics because they will play a vital role with this. Start na ulit kasi ng journey ninyo sa inyong research. These forms will be available on our Google Classroom, and this week you have to accomplish these 2 forms so that we can pass already your proposal to the ERB at tumakbo na yung papel ninyo. Any question with this? Questions before we proceed with the other forms that you need to accomplish? Okay, none so far. Later, if you will have questions, I will entertain the questions. Baka nag-iisip pa. Now, let us proceed with the next forms. So, madaming forms kasi sa ERB eh. Tingnan nyo yung page, 11 pages. So, talagang kailangan ma-pinpoint ninyo na doon sa paper ninyo ay nagawa ninyo yung mga dapat i-consider in terms of ethics. Parang yung iyong paper ay na-manage yung ethical considerations. So, yung Form 1 is the protocol package receipt. So, ipapareceive kasi natin yung paper ninyo, either online or hard copy, kailangan may receipt na na-receive nila yung inyong paper. So, if you look at it, ito ay parang checklist. Mo yung title, study code, sila lang maglalagay title ng study mo, and then proponent, sino yung researchers, sino yung mga students na gumagawa ng research na yon. And then, ayan nakalagay 7 copies. Kasi, pang full review ito. Pero sabi ko nga, there might be exemptions now kasi limited yung ating face-to-face interaction. So, i-prepare nyo lang yung mga dapat i-prepare. Soft copy siguro muna. Okay? So, ito, endorsement letter from the research grant. Ilang mga estudyante na pinili ng kanilang advisor para mabigyan ng research grant. So kapag yon ay nag-materialize, ilalagay nyo yung endorsement letter dito. Kapag hindi, di not applicable. And then, accomplish ERB Form 2, yung kanina, request for review of protocol, we call the proposal protocol. Okay? And then, Form 3, accomplish, yun yung sa informed consent, permit to conduct the study and informed consent, English and Filipino. Then, ERB Form 4, Ethics Review Board Ethical Review Checklist. Ito yon, tama ba? Ay, Form 1 pala to. Okay, later, makikita natin yon. And then, CV of PI or yung principal investigator, kayo yon, and your co-investigators or proponents. So, kailangan ma-attach yung curriculum vitae ng student researchers at ng advisor. And then, this one, if you have trainings about research ethics, kung wala naman, edi not applicable. List of study team members with brief job descriptions. So, ilalagay niyo yung mga pangalan ninyo. Ano ang mga major role ng mga kasama ko? Halimbawa ay si Justin Advincula, siya ang assigned sa statistics. Si Harvey, siya ang assigned sa pagtatali. So, napaka-specific. Ano yung description niya as a researcher? Ano yung kanyang work or task to do bilang part ng team? And then the protocol, the proposal itself, then the questionnaire, interview guide kung meron, informed consent in English and Filipino, imagine, regardless kung ang participants mo ay minor or hindi nakakaintindi ng English, kailangan mo pa rin maglagay ng informed consent in Filipino. Assent for minors, kung minors ang iyong participant, pag hindi naman, hindi not applicable yan. Investigators brochure. So you have to prepare a brochure of your entire proposal. So matetest ulit yung inyong creativity with this. And then this one, synopsis of protocol containing the title. Siguro ito ay wala na kasi meron ka nang magpapasa ka na ng soft copy ng iyong protocol. So i-prepare ang mga bagay na to. Ano pa? Analysis and plan, agreements and contracts, yung iyong work plan. Kasi isa yun sa tinitignan sa research eh. Kailan ka magsa-start ng data gathering at kailan ka matatapos. Let's say, for example, ipa-plot mo. September, ano muna ako, ethics review muna, tapos papamodify ako papavalidate ako ng questionnaire, and then yung mga coming months, ano yung mga gagawin mo. Siguro I can provide example of this to you. And then, ayan, lalagyan mo lang na kung kailan mo pinasa, sino ang mga nagpasa, at contact number. And then, sa akin muna ipapasa kasi sasama-samahin natin, pagsasama-samahin, and then ipapasa sa secretariat ng ERB. Next form. Request for review of protocol. That is Form 2. So, ikaw ay nagre-request na i-review yung protocol mo. So, ilalagay mo yung title, then ano yung details ng study mo. So, basically, ano yung sa'yo? It's an undergraduate research, Actually, it's a thesis. So, pwede mong checkan yan. Pwede mo rin checkan ng social science research kasi ang psychology ay under ng social science. Pwede ring health science. Kung may kinalaman sa health yung iyong study, then checkan mo din kung Philippines only. Kung may participants ka na ibang bansa, di multinational ang checkan mo. You will also include here the sponsor, kung meron, and then kung merong nahina daw. Hello? Audible ba?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, sige. Okay. Okay, going back, are you the author of this protocol? Of course, ang sagot mo dyan ay yes, hindi ba? Kasi ay kayo ang proponent ng inyong research or ng inyong thesis. And then, number 2, in connection with the submission, I disclose the following. I have no conflict of interest in any form with sponsor, the study, investigators, nor site. Of course, you will check. I have personal family financial interest in the results of the study. Kung nakaka-relate ka, kasi bilang researcher, di ba nakaka-relate ka dun sa study mo? Kaya lang, dapat hindi ka bias. Hindi dahil kinokonduct mo yung study mo, dahil parang ini-include mo yung sarili mo to justify or to explain something to your study. Kung hindi talaga maiiwasan yun, edi checkan mo to. Pero you have to explain. Bakit ka nagkaroon ng personal interest doon sa result ng iyong study? I have proprietary interest in the research. Okay, checkan mo yan kung sa tingin mo ay pwedeng i-subject for patent. Halimbawa, makakapagawa ka ng model, makakapagawa ka ng formula out of your research. Aba, pwedeng ipapatent yun. And then I am connected with the sponsoring agency. So ito ay wala naman sa inyo, no? Na merong kasali kayo doon sa isang sponsoring agency, tapos nagkakanda kayo ng research. So wala yung check. Number 3, I am currently involved as personal primary investigator being conducted at the following sites. E di, ilalagay mo yung title, yung site, yung local ng study, inclusive dates. So, anong inclusive dates natin? September to January siguro, yung data gathering plus yung writing ng inyong study. But ito kasi, I am currently involved kung meron kang existing na study ngayon kasabay ng pagkakandak mo noong study mo. Eh wala naman. So, hindi mo ito sasagutan. Pati ito, kung wala ka namang mga trainings about ethics, hindi mo ito sasagutan. And then, I attest to the truthfulness of the entries made in this form. Yes. Ito ay nakalagay pa 7 copies. Yes mo na lang yan. Kasi magpapasa ka naman talaga regardless kung ilang kopya sa ERP. And then, sulat ulit ng pangalan ng investigator, pirma, at date kung kailan ipapasa. Title ng inyong protocol. Ito na. Ito na yung mga pipirma ulit, principal investigator. Sasabihin nyo, ma'am, paulit-ulit. Ano? Investigator, ito yung inyong advisor. So, pipirma din si advisor dito. Lagyan nyo rin ng budget, kung ilan ang budget ng inyong paper. Estimate, study site, duration. Has this protocol or proposal been reviewed by other ERB? Hindi. Ngayon pa lang, no. Okay? And then, wala na to. If yes, local bar international, hindi pa naman nare-review. If yes, what was the outcome of the review? Tinatanong din nila kung na-review na ba, na-approve ba dati or hindi. Kasi merong nagdi-disapprove ng mga papers. Pag na-disapprove ang paper, ibig sabihin, hindi siya pwedeng i-conduct. And another thing, ang ethics review, very important if you vision na your paper will be published. Kasi isa sa tinitignan sa publication ay kung dumaan ang papel sa ethics review board. So, very important. Okay. So, tignan natin yung mga ibang forms. Ito ay for ERB use lang. Ito rin yung informed consent, approval sheet, ano? Oh, ako una, kasama ito nung form. Pag naman si nanay at si tatay ang sponsor, pwede nang hindi ilagay. Pag ang sponsor ay outside, halimbawa DOST, CHED, CVSU ang sponsor mo, di ilalagay mo dyan. Nakalagay dito, this checklist has been prepared to ensure that the protocol submission complies with GCP standards. I will search for the meaning of the GCP standards, pero ang alam ko it has something to do still with ethics, guidelines, something yan. Please review the checklist carefully. So dito daw sa second column, mo yung page kung saan makikita yung protocol. So hanapan ito. Meron kang hahanapin. Ito kayang mga items na nandito ay nasa papel ko. At saan ito makikita nung mag-e-evaluate? Ganun yung idea nitong form na to. Kasi kung makikita ninyo, ito yung mga questions, parang tinatanong niya, halimbawa ito, were potential conflicts of interest between the principal investigator proponents and the participants disclosed and addressed? Meron bang conflict dun sa aking research? Makikita ba yun sa paper mo? Kung makikita, ilalagay mo yung page, paragraph number, at saka yung page, paragraph number, or kung meron kang remarks. Pero kung wala namang conflict, edi not applicable ang ilalagay mo dito. Itong part na to, hindi mo na to papakialaman kasi ito ay para sa reviewer. Medyo madaming items ito, no? Niti, anong sagot dito? Meron ba? Yes or no? Give me a thumbs up kung yes. Give me a thumbs down kung no. We are referring to your proposal. Answers? Has a scientific technical review been done by a research advisory committee? Fourth year students, ano ang sagot dito? Meron ba? Yes or no? Hello? Hello? Wala nang sumagot. Walang nag-thumbs up, walang nag-thumbs down. Ano ibig sabihin? Nandyan pa ba kayo? Give me a smiling button. Kung smiling face, kung nandyan pa. So, ibig sabihin, hindi alam ang sagot dito. Si Marjorie nag-thumbs up. Meron to. Saan makikita to? Na yung inyong paper ay dumaan sa technical review. Sa approval sheet. Diba doon sa approval sheet, nakalagay doon yung mga dumaan siya kay advisor, kay technical, sa panel, kung kani-kanino. So, meron yan. Lalagay mo kung anong page. Makikita yung approval sheet. Na kuya, attach ko pala yun. So, kailangan yun ay ma-accomplish nyo. Another, has the protocol been submitted to approved by an ERB elsewhere? So, hindi naman so not applicable. Is there a section on ethical concerns in the protocol? A. Are possible ethical issues identified? Ito yung laging tinatanong ng GAD coordinator, kung na-consider ba yung gender sensitivity, yung na-address ba yung mga stereotyping, etc. Ilalagay nyo dyan. Meron bang include na specific lang na female or male? So, saang page? Anong paragraph kung makikita kung ako yung evaluator doon sa paper ko? Is the informed consent process clearly described? Merong bang part sa methodology na dinescribe ang informed consent? Kung meron, at dapat meron, dapat ilagay mo dito ang page at saka ang paragraph kung saan makikita. So, napakadami nito. Titignan ninyo kung ito bang mga to ay nasa papel ninyo. I remember, nag-meeting kami nung nakaraan ng isa sa aking, ako yung technical critic, sabi ko, kapag ito ay sinagutan, makikita ninyo, ay, wala yung ganito sa papel ko, so ano mangyayari? Kailangan mo ilagay. Lalo na yung mga bagay na kailangan mong ilagay. Kasi yun ang hahanapin ng ERB. Yun kasi yung ethical considerations na titignan niya kung na-meet mo at kung papasa ba yung iyong proposal para ma-conduct na. Sige, tingnan pa natin yung iba. Itong number 5. Is the investigator proponent qualified to undertake the study? So, ilalagay mo lang dito kung saan makikita yung iyong CV, saka nung advisor mo. Page na lang siguro kasi paragraph ang dami nun, ano? Number 6, if the research is collaborative in nature, are there statements that ensure protection of intellectual property rights, publication rights, may MOA ba? Wala naman. Kasi ito'y thesis ng estudyante. Hindi kayo nakipag-collaborate kung kanino man para dito sa research na to. Nan pa natin. 7. For studies using a questionnaire or interview guide, sabi natin, pag questionnaire, quantitative yung study, no? Pag interview guide, quali. So, nakalagay dito, una, is the questionnaire developed for this study by the proponents? Nakalagay ba yun sa papel mo na lifted, adapted, modified? Saang page ko makikita yon? Saang paragraph? Where is the interview to be conducted? Yan. So, technically, ito makikita mo doon sa chapter 3 sa research instrument. So, ilalagay mo kung saan yon makikita ng evaluator. Ito madami, ano? Of course, kapag applicable sa iyong study, mga nakasulat, halimbawa, can individuals make decisions about consent under the described conditions? Dapat meron ito. Saan to? Dapat nakasulat dun sa iyong proposal at sa informed consent mo na voluntary ang participation ng participants and they can decide kung pwede silang sumali or hindi sa study mo. Meron din ang monitoring and observation. How will the data be recorded and maintained? Nakasulat ba yun sa chapter 3 mo? Na i-record mo? I-observe mo sila? Paano? Privacy and confidentiality. Would the research be considered an intrusion and would individuals be offended? Was to reduce this? Does the aim of the study to justify this intrusion? So, makakapag-heightened pa ng emotions yung iyong mga tanong, yung iyong research, at kung parang magkakaroon ba ng conflict sa feelings ng participants? Kung meron, paano mo ito mamamanage? Yan. Risk and analysis, risk tolerance, lalagay mo anong pick, paragraph, participants, tingnan dapat nakasulat yun, ano? Nakasulat siya sa significance of the study na yung participants mo will benefit from your study. Recruitment incentives. Will informed consent be possible given the recruitment study? Dapat may informed consent. So, dapat nakasulat doon sa iyong chapter 3 na magbibigay ka ng informed consent prior sa pagko-collect ng data. Hindi na natin masyadong titignan pa at napakadami. Hindi tayo matatapos. Evaluate ng evaluator, i-assess kung ano ba yung risk ng participant involved sa study ninyo. Pag ang chineka na ay severe, naku po, hindi ka na pwedeng mag-conduct ng study na yan. What is recommended? Approved ba? With minor revision? With mixed revision? Disapproved. So, ang technique lamang dito ay basahin mabuti mga nakalagay na items dito at i-reflect kung yung paper ko ba dapat may ganito or pwede namang wala. Kung pwede namang wala, not applicable. Kung dapat ay meron, idadagdag mo siya ngayon doon sa iyong papel. Kung i-identify natin lahat yan, majority ng hinihingi ay dapat nasa chapter 3. Kasi ang chine-check naman talaga ng Ethics Review Board ay yung data gathering procedure mo, kung tama. So, kung mapapansin mo yung mga items dito, sa kanilang review of the technical soundness of the protocol, majority ay doon sa chapter 3 mo ilalagay. So, reflect, consult your advisors. Ma'am, ito po yung forms ng ERB, ito po yung mga dapat kong ilagay, inad ko po ito kasi kailangan, etc. And then be cautious, saan mo page nilagay, anong paragraph. Ito, bago ipasa natin sa ERB, kailangan ma-checkan ng advisor ninyo. Pwedeng advisor na lang muna ng advisor ninyo. Kasi pipirma din siya doon sa form. Okay? Pero, ito, standby muna. Standby tong forms na to. Aside from the informed consent. Kasi ang dapat niyong unahin ay ito. Kasi, kailangan munang ma-identify kung ang inyong paper ay exempted, expedited, or for full review. So, these forms will be available on your Google Classroom. Ipopost ko ito after our class. Pag-aralan, itong short description of the research proposal at saka yung informed consent, gawin na. Para ngayong linggong ito, i-target natin na ngayong linggo ay maipasa natin sa main campus for review ang inyong paper. Sabi ko dun sa aking naka-meeting nung nakaraan, habang nag-iintay ng result ng ethics review, pwede nang gawin yung mga ibang bagay. Pwede nang magpa-validate, o kung tapos nang magpa-validate kasi online yung sessions, no? Online yung pag-gather ng data. Pwede nang i-convert sa Google Form yung mga questionnaires mo. Unti-unti, dapat ay ginagawa na. Kasi pag hindi mo ginawa, inantay mo yung desisyon ng ERB ay baka biglang matagalan. So, habang ikaw ay habang nag-iintay tayo sa result, gawin mo na yung mga pwede mong gawin. Pero, as much as possible, wala mo nang magko-conduct. Siguro yung mga pilot, pwede pa yan. Pero yung actual data gathering, wala pa muna. Kasi, dadaan muna yung papel ninyo sa Ethics Review Board. Okay? Now, I will open the floor with the questions. If you have questions in mind regarding ethics in research, you may ask them now. Questions? Okay, Ramon, you raise a hand.
Hello po ma'am, marinig po ako.
Yes po.
Ayun po ma'am, yung sabi niyo po 'di ba, yung dalawang form, so yun po yung kailangan namin ipasa this week. So ilan po ulit yung yung mga forms po? Kasi parang nalito po ako. Yung lahat po.
Yung unang form na ipapasa, dalawa lang yon. Yung sunod na ipapasa, based dun sa kanilang ibinigay, ay 5 forms. 5 forms daw yon.
Opo. Then po, yung mga following na forms po, kailangan pa antayin yung dalawa bago kami mag-proceed sa mga susunod po.
That's a very good question. I think wala namang mawawala kung gagawin mo na din yung ibang forms habang nag-iintay ka. Kasi, alam nyo, ang psychology research, automatic naman yan na nadaan sa ERB. Kaya lang, kailangan nating, for formality, kailangan lang natin malaman kung expedited ba siya or full. Kasi ang alam ko, kapag ang paper involves human participation, automatic, dadaan siya sa ERB. So, it would be better while waiting for the feedback doon sa dalawang forms na ipapasa natin ng una, sagutan nyo na rin yung iba pang forms. Kasi medyo madami di ba? Saka yung nakita nyo yung mga items doon sa gilid, yung mga to test the soundness of the protocol, titignan mo kasi kung nasa papel mo ba yun. Ay, kailangan pala to sa papel ko, ilalagay ko. So, baka magahol kayo sa oras at habang nag-iintay, ay i-fill up na yon. Mas magandang i-fill up na. Kung exempted naman ang papel mo, ipapasa mo pa rin naman sa akin yung forms na yon to make parang fairness sa lahat. Kasi I am expecting na majority ng paper sa class ay dadaan talaga sa ERB. Okay? Yon. Ano pa? Nasagot ko ba ang tanong mo, Ramon?
Yes po ma'am, thank you po.
Okay. Consult your advisor, your technical critic, kasi very crucial ngayon yung mga panahon kasi nasa start kayo ng pag-gather. So, hindi pa nga kayo nag-gather eh. Nandun pa lang sa ERB, kailangan mag-guide kayo dun sa mga dapat ilagay at gawin para ma-approve agad yung papel. Kasi, based on my experience, yung ethics review, hindi sila basta nagbibigay ng approval. Parang pag binalik sa'yo yung papel, meron ka pang gagawin, tas babalik na naman sa kanila and all. So, medyo matagal. Sa akin, yung aking personal experience, though it is more of, it's a graduate study, ano? Parang 4 months ako nag-antay for the ERB. Pero sa inyo, hindi dapat ganon. Kasi, one sem nyo lang gagawin, yung data gathering, di ba? So, kailangan ay makakuha agad tayo ng approval from the ERB para makapagkanda kayo ng inyong paper. And then, once in a while, magmi-meeting tayo. Let's say for example lang naman, matagalan yung ERB sa main kasi ang dami nilang kinikater. Wala naman tayong sariling ethics review board sa campus. Pag-uusapan natin kung paano yung pagkakollect natin ng data. Pero for the meantime, kailangan nyo munang sagutan yung mga forms. Okay? Any more concerns, questions? Wala? Malinaw ba lahat ang pinakita regarding no more questions? Okay, we are waiting. I will end the recording. If you have still questions, you may ask them even if I close the recording. Thank you very much for listening.